Hi guys, it's Hayley here. I'm here with another layout process video. This one is using the supplies I pulled this month from my Scrap Stash Kit Club kit. So the background paper, that dark blue with the kind of white mist splatters on it, that's a paper from Dear Lizzie Polka Dot Party. Actually, most of the products are from that collection. The collection matched really well with the colours of the kit this month, so I put quite a lot of it into my kit. I've adhered down a piece of tissue paper which later gets removed. It doesn't make it. And I have 3 of these Polka Dot Party like kind of cardstock frames. I get into all kinds of trouble with this tissue paper. I use tissue paper a lot, but I got into all kinds of trouble. There's several points where I stick stuff to myself and paper to paper, and it's awful. Okay, so these frames I've already put the adhesive on because I knew I was going to use them. And the photo is slightly smaller, so there's a wee bit of overlap in adhesive, so they start sticking to all sorts of things. But that's real life. And this blue floral is also from that same collection. This is one of my favourite collections. This and Fifth and Frolic would be my favourite Dear Lizzie ones. So these photos are from a day out at a animal park that we have a annual pass to. So over the course of a year, you'll probably see a lot of pictures from this place. It's just really handy because it just means that we can just go there whenever. We don't have to stay all day. We don't have to make it worth the money you pay for a one-off visit. Sometimes we just go and have a picnic. Sometimes I'll just take Gabriella for like an hour or something. So I've got a really funny story to tell about our last incident there, but I need to get some pictures done before I can share that. But yeah, this morning was particularly cold and we decided to go really early. Bad idea. It was freezing. And these little deer are the first, well, after the eels that you can feed, which is creepy. Does anyone else think eels are creepy? I think they're creepy. And the fact that you feed them and they come out of the water and they remind me of, I don't know, like stuff from the dinosaurs. Honestly, they are just so disgusting. The kids love it, but me, not so much. Anyway, so we went quickly past the eels because I don't like them. And we got to the deer, and they're just so friendly, and I know they're well fed and all of that, so of course they're friendly. And they're just so sweet, and I just love them. But we bought all this food to feed them, and it ends up that all the children bailed on that, and it just ended up being my husband that fed them. I don't know why. It's not like they'd nip you or anything, so I'm not sure what that's about. But I've just kind of layered the frames because they are 4 inches, so they would span the whole width of the page. Just kind of overlapped them. I fussed about with that end one a wee bit because I didn't want it overlapping my daughter too much, considering she was, far to the right there. And so I have them hanging off both sides, which I like that look. I think it makes it look more, I don't know, less contrived, more realistic. And see, there's that wee deer that I've said a few videos ago that I had ideas for. And honestly, the deer in the picture looks exactly like that deer. It was not a setup, honestly. Looks exactly like it. So that was from the October afternoon, so it was back on the This Happened layout where I cut apart some pieces. And that wee tree, that chipboard tree, is from Fifth and Frolic. I like how those collections work together. Yes, and if I hadn't adhered that down so well, I probably would have tucked the deer in there. But it was one of those, well, too late things. Now I have this little acetate. This is from kind of an acetate slash ephemera kind of die cut pack from Basic Grey. I think the mint julep, or is it mint julep? I didn't buy any of the papers, but I did buy the pack, and it just says remember this, and I have a wee stash of embellishments there. I want to do something about this line that's under the photos. At this point I haven't ripped off the tissue paper yet, but that's going to happen, and I do just want some kind of grounding spot for those frames, considering they are all kind of up and down. That yellow spotted paper, that came out of the 6x6 pad, and that's what I'm going to journal on. And this piece I'm wedging in now, that's a retail strip from one of the papers. So now I don't know, I think at some point soon I rip off that tissue. Decide that that wasn't working for me. I actually think the tissue kind of is, it's kind of a good thing to have on probably a softer page. This page is soft colours, but the actual angles and all of that, it's not like a floaty, it's kind of squares and lines, and so I don't think the tissue it didn't really match the theme. So I'm just going to pop up the one side of the little die cut deer so it sits evenly with the tree. One thing I do quite often, which I did do to the deer, I don't know if you can see it close up enough, just so it's not quite as plain, just for a little detail, I go around the edge like I would sew, but I couldn't be bothered getting my sewing machine out, and I just punch the wee holes with my paper piercer, and it just gives it a more kind of worn, not so perfect look. And I muck about with those edge pieces too, the bit that I was going to put the top and bottom. I'm not actually going to use them. But after my last few layouts there were such crooked elements on them, I'm trying to check with my ruler that that line is straight. Only a bit straight, not perfect. And because I've already got it tucked where I want, I just use my tiny attacher to attach it to the page rather than lifting it back up and trying to get it back in there with adhesive on, which quite often with me results in like a bit of a fight with it, a bit of a struggle. Okay, here I'm just pulling out that tissue, which does pull out easily, so that's lucky. Yeah, and that looks far better. And that's a good thing about only having it adhered in the middle. It's easy to get rid of. And here is a title I've cut on my Cameo. Just about all the titles in this font I have. I get on a kick with certain fonts, not fonts, but I do have quite a few fonts, but certain designers, and then I'll buy everything that they do. So here I am too lazy to get out my watercolors and didn't want to mist it because that would take too long to dry. See, it all stems from laziness. And here I've just used a colour box ink. The colour is, I don't even know how you say it. I think it's Celadon. It's Celadon. I don't know. No idea what that is. But it's a lovely colour. I got it in something like a freebie in something years ago, and it's been a great ink actually. So I just pushed the ink onto the clear block's just a stamping block, and then I just mix in a wee bit of water and use it to colour it in. It's a really quick way to change the colour of something. It was just a wee bit too white, and especially since the background of that floral is kind of off-white, and it doesn't stand out a heap on the page like visually when you're looking at it on video or on the stills, but actually when you're looking at it, it's fine, you can read what it says. So I do that quite a lot. If I had more inks, I do have distress inks, but if I had a lot more inks, I would do that a lot more. Here's some more bits and pieces that I have from my kit floating around. Some buttons and some little stickers. I'm not sure if they're Evalicious or Skipping 5, one or the other. The puffy ones. And that little bow there, I don't end up using that, but I made a whole lot of bows one night because I'd run out of the Maggie Holmes ones, the pack that had all the small ones in it, and I think I've had one pack that had all big ones in it, but I had lots of ribbon and really it's just being a bit lazy, so I just made a whole bunch, and they turned out cute enough, you know. And here's a really old piece of Dear Lizzie chipboard. I think that's from the first collection. Was the first one Neapolitan, or was there one before that that didn't have a name? I can't remember, but it's from, I've had that. I've got a few pieces in my tray of things to use hopefully this month, and that was one of them, so I was kind of pleased. Now this could be quite a lengthy process. I was trying to think what would be the best way to adhere the title, and there is lots of ways. I have those those sticky sheets. Thermoweb. Yeah, Thermoweb sticky sheets. And I could have used those. I could have used a spray adhesive to attach this title. Instead I decided that I would just sew it down in just a couple of spots. So on one piece of the N and one piece of the X, I just put like three wee pieces, 3 wee stitches to hold it on, and that's all it takes. It's not like there's any weight to it, but it is a bit of a mucking around process, and I used some embroidery thread instead of just regular cotton because the regular cotton was in the other room. So see, I create drama by I create something that's much harder work by my laziness. So yeah, this embroidery thread didn't really want to stitch that well, and anyway, I didn't want to make the holes too big, so that's why I'm using my needle and not my like paper piercer, because if I make the holes too big, then the knot will just slip through. So it does work. It was just probably would have been easier to use the adhesive, but I kind of like that it's not really flat. I thought that if I adhered each piece down, that you'd get no shadow and it would be harder to read it. So there is method to my madness, you know. Good to know. So I'm finding this month's kit really easy. I did kind of overextend myself with what I pulled for it, which I was a wee bit afraid about, but because I have so many collections that are still quite full, like this one and Maggie Holmes and the Heidi Swap collection, I mean, I still have a lot of those. The Heidi Swap one I've hardly touched, so I have a lot of those products still floating around. So the pages come together really easy because it's not like I'm using scraps. Some of this is old bits I'm using, but the papers really, I mean, I still have a lot from this collection. I haven't pulled the whole lot in, of course. I've only pulled in the ones that were the right colours. So now I'm just stitching down my buttons. Buttons are another thing that I like to have these wee quirks. I like them to have thread in them. I don't like them just stuck on. So even though it takes a weeny bit more work, I like it to look like a button, like, you know. So I could have cut some of this out, guys. Sorry about that. It is a wee bit lengthy. But this is, you know, how long it does actually take. Well, it is already sped up. But you've got to remember that when I'm doing it, I forget you're there. Well, you're not there, but you know, I forget that I'm videoing it, so I don't, you know, I take my precious time with it. Okay, so here I'm just going through. This is a wee bag of leftover bits from the Pear collection and the Project Life collection that come in the wee bag. That was from the Pear, but they called it something else. I can't remember. So I'm just going to use up that wee label sticker because it's kind of yellow and aqua. And adding a few puffy stickers. I now decided that because that strip that I kept adding to the top and bottom, well, I kept putting it there and taking it away, that was that, you know, kind of mint background with the white dots. I decided that that was way too light and I would just put this washi top and bottom, and it's just a blue with a navy dot. Again, you've seen this from me probably almost every page. Oh, and I muck about with this too, getting it straight. I mean, really, seriously. Yeah, and I have another go at it. You know, one go is not enough. It's no wonder that I get myself in all these predicaments wrestling with things. And then I toy with the idea of putting a wee strip on top, but that doesn't actually end up happening. I quite like that look too, where there's a couple of pieces. And that doesn't look bad or anything, but I just don't think it adds anything to it. So, and here, this is a different day actually. I decided that I needed to add a couple of more things. So I wanted to add this wee camera from the polka dot party sheet. That's all cameras, and then I think I just want something above that photo in the upper left hand side, just to kind of balance it out a wee bit. So that wee tag is quite cute. It has Fun Day on the bottom half, and I didn't want to waste that, so I just chopped it in half, and now I'm just doing my twine, because you haven't seen enough threading from me today. So yeah. But I do like that look. I think it's kind of a little bit more authentic looking. Now somebody asked me which tape this is that I use, and I'd like to be able to tell you the brand, but I'm in the wrong room. This is just one. It is acid free, but it's just available at like a a local store at the mall. It's not, it's made in Australia. So, well, it might not be made in Australia, it might be packaged in Australia, but it's not something I think would be available for most of you. So I'll try and remember and put it in the notes. So here I'm just showing you where I might journal, and miraculously in my stills I have journaled. See? Thanks for watching, and sorry this is a bit of a labour of love with the stitching and all that. I hope you have a great day and hope you get some crafting done.